Mayor Henry, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Mayor Henry, this is the first evening we met. We were just talking, and I am from here, right here in Fort Wayne. I've lived all over the country, moved back here. I grew up here, went to Homestead High School.
Right.
So this city and how this city does, Mayor, it's very important. It's very personal to me. My mom and dad still live here. So what I wanted to start with you is, if you win the election again, I want to talk about the future now.
Sure.
What will you do to improve the lives of people who live in Fort Wayne, like my mom and dad?
I think probably the most important thing that we're facing is the employment picture of the future. What are going to be the jobs of the future? What are going to be the jobs of those young people who are now rising through the ranks? Obviously, there's going to be concentration in the areas that we're familiar with: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But that's not all there is. Where do we need to concentrate the efforts of our post-secondary partners, our colleges and our universities and our vocational training centers? What are going to be the jobs of the future? Because at the end of the day, jobs do trump everything. You're not going to be able to go out and buy a home or buy a new car or afford to send your kids to good schools or have any kind of disposable income unless you have an employment picture that's attractive. So we've got to spend most of our time concentrating on bringing in good paying jobs with good benefits.
And is that something you feel like you can do?
I believe I've not only can I do it, but I believe I have done it.
Okay, great. Moving on, crime has become a topic in this election. Your opponent says that he wants to change the leadership at the police department. What about you? Are you satisfied with the current leadership, or do you also want to see a change?
It baffles me that my opponent would want to make a change. We have one of the highest producing departments in the state. Our clearance rate, which means arrests and trials and convictions and so on, is over 80%. In contrast, Indianapolis, although my good friend is the mayor of Indianapolis, nevertheless, they have about 35% clearance. Most cities our size have nowhere near what we have as far as clearance rates. We're over 80%, which is phenomenal in today's marketplace. Secondly, we have a command staff that is second to none. Our chief has taken us through some very troubling times, and we've always come out on top. We have a magnificent police department with great command staff. Why my opponent would even consider changing that? Our violent crime rate is down. One of the very few cities, again, our size are larger, where violent crime is down. And really, the only property crime rate that's really up is stolen vehicles. And we already know which vehicles are being stolen, and we're filing suit against those manufacturers for making their cars so attractive to steal. So again, I don't know why my opponent would use that as an issue.
Can the police department improve, and if so, how?
The police chief came before me several years ago and said, my goal, Mayor, is to have 500 police officers. With this last graduating class, we have 500 police officers. We are exactly where he wanted to be as far as manpower. Now we're using new technology. We're bringing in drone technology. We started off with one. Now we have a number of them. We'll probably continue to utilize them as first responders in order to take care of incidents where drone technology is the most appropriate thing to use. We are now in the process of also trying to fund a real-time crime lab. Right now, DNA has to be sent away, and sometimes it takes a couple of weeks for the results to get back. If we're fortunate enough to get the proper funding, and I think we will be able to, we can have our own technology right here in our community and do DNA testing within 72 hours. So again, I think that we're making a magnificent changes in our technology in our police department, and I don't know, again, what more we could do.
Mayor, you have led this city since 2008. When I grew up here, there was Mayor Paul Helmke.
Correct.
He had quite the run himself, 3 terms.
He did.
You would hit 5 terms
Correct.
if the people of this city elect you mayor again. What have you yet to accomplish? What is your white whale? What is a goal that you've always wanted to get done for this city that you haven't been able to get done?
Well, I constantly pursue the quality of life of our community. I think from a financial perspective, we can stand toe-to-toe to any city as far as offering the types of incentives that potential employers would want, tax abatements and other types of tax incentives and investments in TIF financing and all these other acronyms that we use to define the financial elements of economic development participation. But one of the things that we have in Fort Wayne that to me is unsurpassed is quality of life of our community. That's one of the reasons why we continue to win awards in best place to raise a family, best place for a young person to start a career, and I can go on and on. We've won over 24 awards in the last several years, and a lot of it has to do with the quality of life of our community. And that's what I'm going to continue to pursue, whether it's putting up grocery stores in food deserts, which we did today, and we're going to continue to take a look at the health issues in our city, particularly in certain zip codes of our community. So now that we've done so well as a community, and it takes a village. Our whole community has stepped up to make sure that we are the type of city that we can be. Now I'd like to begin to address some issues that historically mayors have not. For instance, healthcare issues. We have too much diabetes in our community. We have too much infant and maternal mortality issues in our community. We have obesity problems in our community. Quite frankly, we smoke too much in our community. So these are healthcare issues that I've conversed with the healthcare providers in Fort Wayne, and those are issues I think we can partner with and begin to address.
Mayor Henry, thank you so much for your time. We do want to be conscious of the time because we do want to give your opponent, Tom Didier,
I understand.
also an equal amount of time. We want to be as fair as possible. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us. We'll be right back on the news at 7 with the man who is challenging Mayor Henry, Tom Didier. That interview coming up live in studio next.